Hey guys, welcome back to the Para Connection podcast. You're here with Schuler, Nate, Ryan, and Kaylee. We are actually going to start up part 2 of our 2-part episode of different types of apparitions. So, let's get it going. I'm pretty excited because if I remember correctly, we left off on non-human entities, which I know we kind of brushed up a little bit on different categories and such, but we didn't dive right into it. So I think that's what we're going to do here for part 2. We're going to get some details going out. And I'm going to start with the first category of animal entities, animal spirits. So I'm sure a lot of you guys know, and a lot of people out there that are listening, you own animals, you know about animals. They're living just like us. But a big question, a big debate that I've read about and that I've also been brought upon by people I talk to, the paranormal, is that spirits in animals are a little bit different than humans. They're not as complex, I guess. And what I mean by not as complex is where when they pass away, they don't really have that need, feel, or want to stay in this world compared to like someone that had a lot of stuff that wasn't finished. Or maybe you passed away before a loved one and you didn't want to leave until that loved one left. I don't know. Some people believe that animals go back to wherever our energy, our spirits go, and that's it. Other people, like myself, I believe animals can stay back too. I mean, you see pictures on Facebook and stuff of a pet laying on a gravestone or something, you know, or there's a sad animal that lost its brother or something like that. So, I mean, to me, that shows that displays that they have feelings just like humans. So why couldn't their spirits still be attached to this world until their issues are fixed, like their owner or whatever? So,
I feel like it all depends, because, I mean, it's not like 100% this or that, because, yeah. I mean, I've heard stories where, like, for example, there was a cat that lived in a library, and when the library burned down, like there was a fire and the library burned down, and like the cat didn't make it, you know, because it basically died in there. And like when they rebuilt the library, like sometimes it sounded like they could hear like a cat meowing,
gotcha,
like it was trying to get out. And my thinking is like a lot of animals, like I feel like the reason why you might not necessarily see, like we see more human ghosts than, or spirits, my bad, as opposed to like animal spirits, is because animals are so focused on survival that I think when they die, it's not like, you know, it's not like they, with humans where like they have to stay here or whatever. Yeah. Like, they're not so, I mean, it's not like they've thought about what the afterlife is, because they're focused on surviving. And but I still feel like they have feelings and energy just like everybody else. Like everybody has feelings, like whether you're an animal or human. So I don't see why they couldn't stay.
That makes sense. Yeah, because I mean, like your story about different animals being reported or seen in a haunted, quote unquote, location, that has been something that I've read about and that I've been told about too, that they can just be like a human, you know, residual or intelligent. They can be left back. What about you, Ryan? What's your input about, you know, animals moving on or being left behind?
I mean, can you help an animal spirit move on?
That's a good question. I mean, if we can help humans, if they can stay back like humans, my say would be yeah, I guess.
I can't see why not. You probably have to approach it differently.
Yeah.
Obviously, the communication barrier.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, because I've only heard a couple stories about where an owner has said they can feel their pet still around. Or
yeah.
You'll see something from like Gettysburg, or a soldier on a horse.
Yeah.
Seen that too. So I don't know.
Very true.
If it's more about is the animal connected more towards the human spirits, like your example of the cat, to like example the cat died of a library fire, or fire. Was there a human that died in the fire too, that the cat was there, so that's where the cat is left behind too? Or is it, you know what I mean? Like, is it more...
It's a lot of variables that you could put in. Yeah.
Well, in that case, only the cat died, because I think it happened, like, overnight, when people were sleeping. Like,
not in the building?
Like the library burned down, like, not during office hours. Hours of operation, so people weren't there.
Gotcha. That makes sense.
I guess, because I guess the cat was maybe sleeping or something, they didn't know that he died.
Yeah.
And then he's just, you know...
I guess you can put that into, like, you know, the human thought process too.
Yeah, because it happens to humans.
It does.
You know, they might not necessarily realize they're dead, which is a shocker for me, because I'm like, how could you not know?
I know.
Like, no one's reacting to you. I mean, I could see someone not knowing for a little while, but like to not know for decades, like That's weird.
Unless there's a lot of other dead people that believe the same thing, that they're not dead, and you're both going to like an old-timey cracker barrel, and it's like, yeah, let's get some old food, you know, and it's like, oh, you're eating too, there's nothing wrong. It's like, yeah. It's like, what if we're dead? And they really are, but they're not. I don't know. I had a funny discussion with a buddy of mine last week where we went to a Speedway gas station, and he asked me, he's like, you ever think, Schuler, like, what if we're dead? You know, we're here at this gas station getting the slushy, but we're dead, but we think we're alive, and
it's very
we're
Matrix
enjoying it.
Of you.
I know, yeah. Pretty hardcore, isn't it? But I mean, it's like, but there's so many other people that you could, you know, like, pinch, and they're like, what the hell are you doing? And they're physically there, you're physically there, and I don't know, unless they're ghosts too. But I mean, yeah, it's a Matrix. We go down a bunny rabbit hole here. But Nate, I want to jump to you. What is your 50 cents on the whole animal spirit possibilities?
I personally think that when an animal is with their human, that they grab onto or take in all of their human's emotions.
Gotcha.
So if they, I mean, I agree that there has to be some sort of feeling with them that, you know, just like you brought up about, you know, a dog laying on a tombstone knowing that their owner is dead.
It's very true. Yeah.
That, you know, obviously there's some sort of reaction happening. I mean, they're mammals just like we are. Mm-hmm. It's the same thing, you know, with a duck losing its mate. Yeah. They mourn for life because they have partners for life.
Yeah.
So
that makes sense.
There has to be some sort of connection, whether it be, like Kaylee said, just focusing on the survival. But I don't know. It's like you don't know what they're thinking.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, like you guys are pointing out, obviously there's some type of connection or intelligence to a degree, but at the same time, there are barriers. Like Kaylee said, communication for one. You know, we don't know what they're thinking. We don't know if they follow a religion, you know, or if they just don't care. They're just like, hey, we're alive. We love each other. I have a mate. We have babies. I don't know why this thing looks different than me, but I love them, referring to their owner, you know. But it's interesting. Yeah, I mean, ultimately for me, I think that animal spirits they have the possibilities that a human spirit does of staying or going to whatever our next, you know, level transition is. But I've personally not experienced any definite entity that was an animal. I mean, I felt weird things before at locations and even at my own home with like a brush of the leg. And yeah, that could have been one of my cats I've had that passed away. Or it could have just been, you know, my hair is sticking up because I'm hairy. I look like a Wookiee. But I mean, I really don't know. But I've never actually seen like a dog coming at me or a cat that's on a banister and it just disappears. But
there is one experience I've quote unquote experience because it was a meditation. So like during like a psychic development class that I went in, like you do like a meditation, like you go to quote unquote your happy place. So I'm for short of going into long descriptions about it, you just go to a place and in your mind and like you just kind of bask in it, and then you can like ask for people to come to you, the people you know, your loved ones or whatever. And so like this was like this is probably my second time doing it. The first time, like, no, maybe it was the first time. It was the first time, and like I was just sitting there, I was like, okay, who am I gonna talk to? And like I felt this really strong like presence like in this like to the above right of me. And so I looked over, I was like, all right, fine, come here. And it was like this big, like, it just like shot at me like a lightning bolt and like just surrounded me with love. And like it was, in my mind, it was my cat Snowflake, who
Gotcha.
she was my kitten, my first kitten when I was a kid. Like I asked for a cat for 3 years and I finally got one, and she was like my animal best friend.
Yeah.
And she died when I was, I think, the first year out of college, and I was living at home and working, and so like I just started crying, and it was like I said, I was so sorry in regards to like there were a couple of times where like I spanked her or whatever, as a kid or whatever.
Totally.
And she, like, I heard this voice back. It was just like, it's okay, like, just really happy. It sounded just like her, like. But if she were like human voice or something, It was really weird, and like, it was like so immediate. Like, like I felt like it had to be something because like my mind
Yeah.
didn't have time to like make up something.
It was an intelligent
And so,
force. Yeah.
like while I didn't technically like literally see anything, like I sensed something, and so that's about the only thing I have that's remotely close to anything.
So Kaylee, would you say that the way that you knew it was your pet Snowflake, do you think it's the emotions that you felt? Because when she was alive, you knew how you felt when you were right there in front of her. Did you feel that same way when you were communicating?
So for me, like since I'm a sensitive, I think I've mentioned in the past that like I can pick up on like the feeling of somebody, like their I guess it might be their aura or whatever. Just like everyone has like an essence about them, that makes them them. And so like that's what I felt was her essence. Like it was just like an immediate knowing that like this is my cat Snowflake. Like it wasn't like a question. It was like it's the weirdest thing. It's just like you just know. I can't I can't really explain it. It's just a knowing.
No, I totally get that. I can see where you're going with that.
And so I know it's not like evidential or anything because
No, but I mean if it happened to you, I mean you have something that you can relate to that obviously you think about when it comes to an animal entity or spirit.
Yeah, and so for a while I felt like she was kind of not necessarily a spirit guide, but she was like a buddy spirit that was around for a little while, and then she kind of moved on.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I mean, she wasn't like on this earth. Yeah. She was like in the spiritual realm.
We don't know their genders.
If I went to go meditate, sometimes she'd be there hanging out. But it's like they're spirits and they move on to other bigger, better things.
It's a science we don't fully know yet, but we're trying to get a grasp on it.
Yeah.
What about you, Ryan? Have you ever had an experience or anything remotely close, like someone telling you about an experience with animal spirits?
I don't believe so.
What about that? I think I was there with you. It's you, me, and Nate. We went out to Danville for a possible residential investigation, and one of the owners, it was the lady, it was the wife. She was talking about she believes one of her animals that passed away was still walking around the house. I believe it was a cat.
The black cat.
Yeah, the black cat. Yeah, you remember that story pretty good, right?
Yeah, I remember that because I think her husband said the same thing.
Yeah, her husband said he kind of saw the same stuff. Correct. They would see it, they would feel it, wrap around their legs or something. Yeah, that is right.
I mean, maybe it might be good to experiment at like a pet cemetery.
Yeah.
Just to see if we get anything or, just have some type of experience towards it to get maybe more understand it better. Yeah, I've never been to a pet cemetery. I don't know how that'd work, but I don't know. That would be an interesting experiment. Plug and play, see if you get the same reactions or something different. Yeah. What about you, Nate? What about you on a personal level? Have you ever experienced an animal spirit, or has any friends of yours told you any odd stories other than that Danville one?
No.
Gotcha.
No.
I wonder if like a fish, like water.
Something so small.
Or
like
something has, if you're in the water,
does that matter? Or yeah, I see what you're saying. Yeah, because when I think about a water animal, like even a frog or a fish, like you're saying, I don't really think of them as like an intelligent spirit. But I mean, they're alive. They have to have some sort of energy too.
Yeah.
You would think.
I would say like all things have energy.
Yeah.
It's just like things are dying all around us all the time. Like it's just the circle of life. And so I don't know.
But the energy goes somewhere.
Yeah. I mean, like energy goes somewhere, whether they don't necessarily stay, but their energy still goes somewhere.
But could you get a ghost frog or a ghost fish, you think?
Probably.
Depending on like what event happened, or because I'm sure they have emotion too, but I mean because they get scared. That's an emotion, so they swim away if danger's coming.
That's the case, the slaughterhouses would be filled with cow ghosts.
That's true.
In the night or whatever. No,
that's really true. I've actually never thought of that. I mean, jokes aside, I mean, yeah, that's a lot of emotion.
I wonder if there's a difference between like wild animals and like domesticated ones, because the domesticated ones have grown up with us, and so they have a different perspective on life because of us. And like because like the ones that are in the wild, like it's pure survival. They're they're not thinking about afterlife or anything. So like when they die, it's like I don't think they necessarily get trapped here because they've never had a chance to like think about it.
There's no connection here.
Whereas here, it's like while I don't think like a domesticated cat or a dog like might have like they don't ponder the afterlife. I don't think because it's just not a thing they do. Like they live in the now.
They just have different
It's
connections
just
than like
the
a
way
wild
I
one,
feel
right?
like their energy might be shaped because of us, like reshaped
Yeah.
a little bit. And so I can see I could see more domesticated type animals getting trapped here more than like say once in the wild.
Yeah.
Unless,
like a pharaoh.
because I know I know, but supposedly there's certain areas where like if there's like a negative entity that's trapping things there,
Yeah.
like maybe it could trap an animal, like an animal might sense that, or like because animals will
true.
sense when there's negative things around and they will leave the place. So
Huh, that makes
I don't
sense,
know.
Kaylee. I like that. That's a very interesting point. No, I mean, when it comes to animals, just like human spirits, there's still a lot that's obviously unknown. But it really does make you wonder. It does. It's some really interesting stuff. So, okay, I think that was a pretty good talk on animal spirits. Let's jump to the next category. I think we'll let Nate take this one off for us. Nate, what's your category of non-human entities and apparitions? What you got for
A
us?
shadow person.
Shadow people. All right. So, Nate, what do you think a shadow person is?
Well, the only thing that I really know is the definition. But I've also heard that it kind of correlates with people having psychological effect at night, sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
Like those two have been,
like it's being
Combined.
caused by the shadow person.
yes.
Or, okay.
Like when people are in sleep paralysis, that they see some sort of dark figure in the
Okay.
room. But it can be called either a shadow figure, shadow being, or a black mass.
Okay.
Then it's the perception of a patch of shadow as a living humanoid figure, either paranormal or supernatural.
Gotcha.
It's a spirit or entity. So it's
Yeah,
like,
yeah. Makes it something intelligent that's not a physical
Yes.
being that we
Yes.
know anyway. Yeah, when it comes to shadow people, things that I've read a lot about, I've never, to my current knowledge, not consciously, I haven't experienced a shadow person during an investigation or even when I had weird things happening at my own home. But I have read and been told, again, by people that shadow people they believe are either demonic entities, they are interdimensional entities. I do believe like tulpas, like other weird cryptid-like creatures, Bigfoot, whatever. So interdimensional, and then I've also been told alien, even. There was a movie that came out, I believe it's The Fourth Kind, and that was about the stories that happened in Alaska, based on true events.
What was it about? I didn't see it.
The Fourth Kind was about these real police case files that happened. Can't remember too much details. It's been so long since I watched it. Fourth or fifth kind, I can't remember.
Mm-hmm.
I do believe it was a fourth kind. But I'm just going off a limb here. Where they were talking about these... Shut up, Ryan.
That's the fourth kind.
It is a fourth kind? Okay.
I didn't think it was real.
Yeah, it's based off true events that happened up in Alaska. I believe it's Anchorage. And they actually have police cams footage from their cars that were
really?
showing that stuff. Are you sure?
That's fake.
It is not fake.
Wait, they have it in the movie, or they have it
The movie is fake. That was a fake documentary, but it's based
Based
off
off a
true
true story.
events. That's what I'm saying.
and
And then at the end, it showed some footage that were actually
that was
police
real
footage.
life.
Yes.
Okay, it wasn't
Yes.
like
Are you sure?
Mm-hmm. Check it out.
I've seen the movie before. I thought.
Yeah.
I just read it. They said
The movie
was fake.
itself was fake,
That's what
but
they said. That you should
it
make your own
was-
determination on it.
The
It was
film
based-
is a pseudo-documentary purporting to be based on real events occurring in Nome,
Bam.
Alaska in 2000.
Reporting to be.
Bam.
Actually.
well, still, that's close enough. It's reported
No, it's
to
did
be
it say
true.
in the beginning of the movie that this was based off of real events, or that
It says to make your own determination.
Well, I'm determining that it's real.
But I didn't know the end of the movie actually does real.
Yeah, like the police footage.
like is it like after the end credits or something?
I think it's during the credits. You want to pull up YouTube real quick?
That's okay. We can
I'll do it right now.
investigate this at another time.
All right, well, for you guys out there listening, if Schuler, which is the guy talking right now, if I'm making an ass of myself, I apologize.
Maybe we can make it another podcast. Is
Probably
this real or
will.
not?
Or Schuler's lying.
Or Ryan's just jealous that
You're
Schuler's
Schuler
right.
lying.
Because we know
I
Ryan
just
gets
thought-
jealous
I
of
just
Schuler.
wasn't- Yeah, I thought it was real. Anyway, go ahead.
No, it's
Go
fine.
ahead. Well, please.
But the basis of the fourth kind is these aliens that are coming down abducting people, doing weird stuff to them. And the sightings of these aliens have been like shadow people. like what we know that we're talking about. Black masses of a humanoid thing. You don't see it as these big-eyed alien things with a big head and a little sharp chin. It's just shadow people, and I don't know. It's weird. I haven't experienced anything like that. I'm not saying that's the truth. I'm just saying it's another
it is
alleged experience of shadow people. It is. There's a lot to it.
Because it's just like no one's really like. I feel like no one's really like thoroughly studied it in depth. I mean, I haven't really looked.
I'm sure there
but
are.
I mean, because you always hear about like ghost spirits like floating around there, like and like you just hear like if you ever watch like the haunted stories and stuff. They'd say, like, I saw a shadow person, but, like, the thing leaves so quickly, like, you don't have time to really investigate what it is.
It's true.
I don't know. I would say, for me, I don't think it could be... It all depends. It always depends. With every single little thing.
It really does.
So, like, with shadow people, like, I feel like it could be multiple things. What was I thinking? Like, I was intrigued that you mentioned, like, interdimensional, per se. Just because... For me, like, on another meditation I did, like, where you were supposed to, like, meet a spirit guide, like, I supposedly met, like, one of my spirit guides, and, like, he came to me, like, as, like, it was like a shadow shroud, if you will, like, it looked like a shadow person.
But he was humanoid, right?
Yeah, and so, like, I was like, who are you? Or, like, like, can you show me who you are?
Yeah.
And it, like, broke apart, and I saw him in all his glory, or whatever.
That's pretty hardcore.
And so I'm like, because, like, I don't know, like, I was kind of creeped out when it showed up, so I was like, oh crap, is this a bad thing? Because I'd always thought shadow people were, like, bad things, because from all the TV shows you watch, and it turned out fine, and so I'm just like, I wonder if it was just something, like, ghosts do it when they're guarded.
Kind of like a camouflage, where they hide their identity.
Like they don't want you to know who they are.
Holy crap, that's a new theory. I've never heard that before. I like that. That's really good, Kaylee.
Thanks.
So no, I'm serious. Like that's a theory that I could actually put out there, so like a guard.
Isn't Slenderman the shadow person?
Well, he kind of has features, though. I mean, he doesn't because the face thing's missing. But for the fact that he has like a suit, you can tell. So I mean, he's not like a whole entire black mask with no detail.
I mean, I think they added on to where he wears a suit, but I think most of the cases he's just a black figure.
Ultimately, his origin, you're saying, could be a shadow person.
Yes.
I see. I like that.
I
could believe that.
Energy too, like 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 since energy transfers, like you can't destroy energy. It's like, what if it's just a different type of energy?
That's true.
Because like you can have like red flames, you can have blue flames, but they're both fire still.
I want to.
That's a good point.
I think the shadow people or whatever. I think they turned it into more like a Slender Man to say, okay, this is actually make it real, and then it's just like went on.
Kind of like putting a face on it or something,
Correct. I mean that's just my personal opinion because I haven't had any.
No, that's a good theory.
I haven't had any instances and stuff, but I mean, you see, like watching ghost investigations.
Yeah.
They're gonna say, oh, like in the dark, oh, I see a figure. Well, it's gonna be dark.
Yeah.
So are you gonna say, oh, now it's a shadow person because it's dark and you see arms and legs?
Unless it's like in a lighted room.
Yeah. Whereas it just is actually a spirit. You're just seeing like an outline of it. It's in a dark room. So,
that's a good point, right?
You know what I mean? So.
Well, when we talked to Drew, and he said he had sleep paralysis, he said he saw a black figure.
I thought it was an old lady
in the room. Well, but.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah,
that was before he.
Yeah, like there was a black.
It was a lady though.
He couldn't move.
Mm-hmm.
He was just stuck there.
It was a woman, right?
Yeah, but he didn't know it at the time. It was just a mass.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. I thought the woman came up to him though when he was sleeping and said, "You're gonna be okay. Like, don't be scared or something like that." Like she was in the doorway, and I thought
that's what he felt.
Yeah, I thought she came like towards him or something and said, "Don't be scared" or "Don't." I don't know.
Well, that's why it makes me wonder what you said, Kaylee, about people being guarded. Mm-hmm. They'll show themselves when you ask, or when they feel
or they feel safe around you or with you or something.
Like an angel,
maybe in a form,
Yeah, because I mean, this wasn't like a bad spirit, so I mean, that's the take I have on it. And if you think about it, like the sun versus a black hole, like the black hole is like supposedly sucking in stuff to it.
Yeah.
I mean, not internally. I know, like it kind of like does something differently, but like while the sun like emits stuff, the black hole is like the opposite of it.
But so as a spirit guide, we're getting off topic.
We're going
with
down a
this.
rabbit hole
But
here.
no.
That's fine. That's
but
fine.
listen, is a spirit guide someone who is alive at one point?
It doesn't have to be, no. So supposedly by the guy that I've gone to classes with, he says that like angels are spirits that have never been a human. I don't know if I quite believe that per se, but like your spirit guides can be anything. It doesn't have. It could be one. It could be a former human. It could be something that's never been a human, etc. It's just like
like flipping a coin. It's like hey, heads or tails.
So it could have been someone who was something else before in their first life, or
yeah.
And then they're just formed into like this humanoid, intelligent energy that's communicating with you now and helping you in your physical life.
Yeah.
It's a very interesting theory. Before I forget, shout out to Drew from Ghost Train Podcast. That's the guy that we're talking about. Drew, if you're listening, you're awesome, and thank you for your stories. But back to Kaylee's theory, so seriously, that's like that's really hardcore. I never thought about a spirit guy to be like that, because I personally always thought the spirit guy was like an angel. Like it was never a human. It's some type of strong entity that wants the best for you and to help you.
I didn't think it was an angel. I just assumed that it was someone that had passed.
Gotcha.
And it can be.
They just, for some odd reason, were chosen to be your...
Because supposedly...
So nobody can have the same spirit guide? Like, the spirit guide doesn't...
No, the spirit guide can have multiple people. Like, supposedly, like, my spirit guide, like, isn't always with me. Because, like, you can have multiple spirit guides, and, like, because he's got other peeps he's helping out around the world or something.
So you tell him, like, hey, who else are you helping?
Yeah.
Will they tell you?
Yeah, like, would they actually give you, like... So this is my thing. Like, if you ask me, hey, can you give me a name who you're helping? Like, can you do that? Like, actually give you?
I've never really thought about it.
Like a person's name is like verify. Oh yeah, this is. You know
like,
what I mean?
like
that'd be really cool.
I mean, not to be like.
You said like so asking the name of the person that they're helping.
Correct.
Other than you.
If you say hey.
I never thought about it really.
I mean, like, can you say hey? Can you give me the name? If you're helping another person, or can you give me the name of the person who you're helping?
Mm-hmm. I don't know.
I think
I've never asked.
For verification. I mean, not to say it's good. It's false.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it isn't impossible.
I just want to say, like, is that possible to say, hey, can you actually give me a name of who you're helping?
You contact that person and then you both
from like
verify.
Another,
I would say maybe. I mean,
that'd be cool.
I'd say in the world anything is possible. Like I said, everything depends.
Yeah.
Theme of today's story. But you know, it's like I just thought never occurred to me. Never bothered to ask because it's really none of my business. And like, but I could see a special scenario where like. Maybe we're meant to like connect at some point, and so like the reason he like the spirit guide is both our spirit guides is because he's trying to draw us together.
That is true.
Because eventually I want to like I could see that kind of scenario happening.
Or they'd roll out a contract and be like, "That's actually breach of confidentiality. I'm sorry."
I don't know. Like I said,
Section 3059.
That's a good that's an interesting point because that's just what I was told is by multiple like psychic people is that like you're like. You have like at least 5 spirit guides, and they're different types, like the master guide, a joy guide, a doctor guide. And they guide you in specific things. Gotcha. Like of your like aspects of yourself. Yeah. And so there's one that's more of like a protector, and I think that's the one I know. I thought he was like my master guide, but maybe he's not. Who knows? Yeah. So that's a world that I'm not too like extremely familiar with. It's just what I've been told by people. Gotcha. In my classes.
So ultimately, Kaylee, with your spirit guide, you know, going back to the shadow people thing, before you knew a lot about your spirit guide, you saw this entity as a shadow person for the most part because of the shroud.
Yeah, it was only for like a few seconds. Like, okay. And what's interesting about that is, like, I've gone to like a healer in the past who does like pranic healing. Mm-hmm. And like I guess she connects with your spirit guide to like ask permission to like work on your body and to help you, like have them help me. Gotcha. And what I find interesting after that scenario of the meditation was like years ago. This was in college because it was after a car accident. Like my mom was going to this lady, but she gave me her appointment since I had just gotten into a car accident to like help with my shoulder. Gotcha. And at the end, I asked her like I guess she was talking, like, I was with my mom and my aunt, and she had talked about, like, my, like, how beautiful my aunt's spirit guide was. Like, oh, she looked like this, blah blah. And like I was like, oh, what's mine look like? She's like, I don't know. He stayed hidden, and so once
Shadow
that's what I was talking about. It was like you don't think of these things until other things happen, like this meditation. And so I'm just like, he just seems like a really private guy. Like he just doesn't want the whole world knowing who he is.
That's interesting.
Or something.
You might have like a secret double agent on your side. That'd be pretty cool,
and
Kaylee.
So, whatever.
So Ryan, before we started talking about like the possibilities of shadow people, which I know you have a very good point, and I want you to bring that in after I ask you a question. What did you think about shadow people before we started saying the possibilities of what they could be? Like spirit guides or interdimensional creatures. What did you think when you heard that word? Or...
I mean, I really didn't think about it. I thought maybe it was just fake.
Gotcha. I get it.
I just don't. I mean, I don't know. I know nothing about it.
Well, talking about it more now, what would you categorize it as a possibility? Like, let's say if we go to the Monroe house, like we're going to in the next month or so, and you saw a shadow person, and let's say in a well-lit room too. It's not just a dark area. It's like well-lit, and you see this black mass, and there's this no way in hell it could have been your shadow, mine, Kaylee's, or Nate's. What would you say that could potentially be?
The spirit.
Like just a normal spirit or a demon?
That's when it goes. I mean, my mind is probably just goes. I mean, my mind's going to say it's a spirit.
Yeah.
Or then I'll move. Okay, if it's not that, then I'll go. Okay, maybe it's a shadow person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
But yeah, I mean, I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I wouldn't know.
That.
So.
Yeah. Ultimately, I'm gonna have to hunker myself down with shadow people being a type of entity. I know a lot of people kind of go to the side of it being evil or demonic of some sort. Like I said, I haven't had a personal experience where I can verify that, but for a fact, I can, from my experiences, I have seen like shadowy things. But again, it's in a dark environment, like you said, so I can't say it was a shadow person.
Okay, so they're saying if it's negative, isn't it the same thing as a doppelganger? It's like the opposite side of being like your... I thought the doppelganger is like the evil.
Well, the doppelganger is supposed to be a form of demon that's non-human. It's supposed to be a non-human entity, and some people believe it to be the devil himself. Some people believe it's just a demon. It takes the form of you to.
I think that's what I'm saying though. So like the shadow person is just like your like your negative
alter
side.
Ego?
Yes.
Gotcha.
Like if you're saying it's being negative, then what's...
It's possible.
What if it's like that's like your negative side?
I've not heard
like
that
your
theory.
Spirit guide type of deal that they're saying. You know what I mean? Like what if it's...
Yeah. I've not heard it, but I can go with that though, because I mean you're feeding into that possibility of it being negative. It may not be a demon, but it could be like your dark energy manifesting because of the state of mind you're in, because you're paranormal investigating, or you think a house is haunted or something. I mean, who's to say what it could be, really? I just believe it to be some form of entity that's around, and maybe there's just not, I don't know, enough energy for it to give more detail of itself. So it's just like this black mass. That's all it can show itself as. But
I thought you had something.
Nate, do you have more on shadow people by chance? Because I know.
No, I was trying to clarify doppelganger.
Okay, go ahead.
So it's a non-biologically related look-alike or double of a living person, sometimes portrayed as a ghostly or paranormal phenomenon, and usually seen as a harbinger of bad luck.
Gotcha.
Other traditions and stories equate a doppelganger with an evil twin.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It's not considered demonic.
So I'm just saying that's what some people think.
It's a
by definition.
Folklore says that if you see your doppelganger, then you're supposed to die.
Interesting.
It's like you're seeing your evil twin, the other dimension.
Someone asks your spirit guide, do I have a doppelganger?
Everyone supposedly has a doppelganger.
I know, that's
really?
what I'm saying.
I don't know about this.
Yeah, we can do that next.
We should.
Tuesday, you can ask your spirit
What,
guide.
find it? Have a sesh. Have a little powwow.
Unless it has to be personal to talk to your
He'll probably just say no and be like, well, there's that. So much for that podcast.
So I have a question for Nate. It's back to your doppelganger. If it's not allegedly a demon or the devil himself, what would you categorize a doppelganger as? Interdimensional creature? Because it's its own living thing that has intelligence, right? It's not a form of you that's just mirroring itself to another location. So what would you call a doppelganger?
It's not a...
I know we talked about this earlier, but it's good to refresh.
That's fine. I think it's good to refresh.
It's not a...
It's on the first episode, dude. That's all right.
It's a non-biological form of yourself.
So it is a living entity, but it's just not a human entity, and it's not you.
It's something that... Like, for instance, one of my friends, when I went to high school, was like, I saw someone who looked exactly like me, and they got really ill. Like,
and that really happened?
Went
like
to
a
the
friend
hospital.
of yours?
Yeah.
Weird.
Wow.
And
Ryan doesn't believe it.
It's just kind of hard for me to believe that too. Yeah.
No, I'm not. No, I'm not.
This is Hollywood scripting right
So,
now.
they were gone. They were gone during a trip for class, and I don't know if it was like
out of the country,
Amnesty
per se?
International,
Okay.
yeah, where you go to another country and then you help,
Like a
families and
mission
stuff,
kind of thing.
kind of, but it was more like government-y
Okay.
type thing.
It wasn't churchy. It was government.
Yeah,
Okay.
Probably got malaria.
and so no, well, so they were there, and I don't, because it was so long ago. They were like. They ended up, they saw, like, they were walking, and then they saw, like, this girl saw someone across, like, the road, and my friend was like, well, who are you looking at? And then, so she's like, well, I just saw someone, like, it was like time had stopped.
Weird.
And she, like, looked across the street and saw this person, like, a mirror image of herself.
Was it looking at her?
Yeah.
Oh.
So she goes back to her room, and they weren't drinking because they weren't drinking, and because the teacher had been with them, and all of a sudden she goes back to her room, and she just like throws up and like starts getting like violently sick. So then she comes back, and then we find out that she's like in the hospital, and then she eventually comes back to work, or not work, school. But it was really weird because she wouldn't have been the type of person to believe that stuff.
Yeah.
Did they diagnose her with anything
No.
that made her sick?
They couldn't find out what
Nope.
it was. Dang.
She probably just got sick.
We need to bring her on the podcast. Can you still contact this person?
Oh, yeah.
That'd be
I-
cool.
I'm
I-
friend.
I would love for her to be on.
It's
that'd
hard
be a really
for
good
me
episode.
to believe something like that. I mean,
And to
me
hear it from that
me talking about
person,
spirits and
I
other
know, I
things,
know.
it's hard
Yeah.
for me to believe that.
Well, she didn't tell her mom about this or anything because they don't believe that stuff. Like, that's not
like she wouldn't bring it up
something
because
no.
it's faux pas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Taboo.
it was just really interesting because the teacher that was with them while they were walking back to their hotel, I remember my friend was like, she just seemed very weird, like something, she was like just like in a daze.
That's
And then all of a
crazy.
sudden, like, she just snaps out of it.
Maybe she's
Weird.
dehydrated.
I don't know. This was 2005.
Well, if this story is true, it just goes to verify the nature of a doppelganger. And this makes me still believe that the doppelganger has some type of evil presence to it. Regardless if it's a demon or the devil. Evil, I mean, by just being ill of nature. You know, maybe it is an interdimensional creature. They're physical. They're like shapeshifters. They can make themselves look like us.
Mm-hmm.
But obviously they have some type of power or, you know, weird ability that can make us sick, possibly kill us.
I'd be curious to see, like, it almost sounds like they're the opposite of you,
Yeah.
which is probably what makes you sick. Like, what if there's someone out there who's, like, already evil or sick or insane, and, like, would that doppelganger also still be a negative entity, or would it be,
Man.
like, the positive entity that, like, ends
Kaylee's
up
over
healing
here
it? I'm just
making it
throwing
happen.
out, you know,
I don't think
crazy
Hitler
stuff
had
all the time,
positive
so.
sign towards him.
right?
I don't think Hitler had a positive.
Oh, goodness. That would be insane. to
Well,
see.
until they told him not to make paintings at that school, he was really nice, from what I've been
So
told.
it's a German word, and it
Yeah.
translates to double walker.
Double walk.
Walker.
So it's a ghost or a
Nice.
shadow of yourself.
Weird. I wonder
So-
what kind
A double
like,
of
energy it
yourself.
is.
So Kaylee's theory,
Yeah, it's
what she was talking
Mirage.
about, it makes me think of like a alternate universe. Like, what if somehow that alternate universe us came into our world, and then it's kind of like a
I didn't go that far.
what do you call that? That wibbly wobbly timey wimey stuff. Yeah, that was a Doctor Who reference.
What?
No copyright though. It's a not a proxy. What do you call that?
What?
I don't know.
Where too many things
Gateway?
where too many things happen, like you go back in time and you mess something up.
Cosmo.
Interference.
It starts with a P, I think. I know
Pass.
there's probably somebody listening
I
right
don't
now, and
know.
they're like, "Come on, idiot, say the word."
If you know the word, you can put it in the comments below.
Yes. Show us how many of you out there are actually smarter than the rest of us because we can't think of the word.
For sure.
Oh, whatever, Ryan. You can't think of it either. You said cosmos. It doesn't even start with a P.
That's not even like.
Listening,
Oh, when do you? I'm just kidding. But anyways, that was a really good theory. That was what I'm trying to say because it makes a weird thing where
It's just
two of us can't do
It's
it.
one of those scientific hypotheses. Is like
Parallel
I'd be
universe.
curious to see what would happen.
Parallel universe.
Parallel universe.
Parallel
Rippin'
universe.
Rip in time. No.
a what's
Parallax.
that called?
Wrinkle in
Almost.
Something like that.
What is
Almost.
Not
What?
parallax. I said parallax.
Not a parallax, but a paras something.
Parasite.
Because like if you think parallel, like it's
This is
two
terrible.
lines that are like together but they don't intersect.
Siri. What is Schuler talking about?
Does she have anything to say?
I don't. Mine's a galaxy, so I don't have anything special.
Man, well, anyways, pretty good talk about shadow people. I mean, we kind of went down a couple of rabbit holes, but that's totally fine.
And we're done for episodes, so thank you for
No, we are not done yet, Ryan. We are just getting started. We're actually going to move on to Kaylee's topic. She's got some good ones. And if I remember the word, I'm probably going to mildly interrupt you for just a moment so I can say it.
Okay.
Paradox! There it is.
Paradox, he did it.
Paradox.
Woo!
It is a paradox. That's what I'm thinking of. When things that shouldn't be happening happen, it creates a paradox and it destroys reality. And it destroys our reality if we see a doppelganger. So we start disappearing like the superheroes and Avengers. So, oops, too soon? No? Okay.
We're good.
Okay, Kaylee, so your topic here. Hey, I did not say any spoilers. Everyone by now has probably seen Infinity War.
I haven't seen that.
Well, you don't care.
Well,
He doesn't care, Nate. Don't defend him. Anyways, Kaylee, your topic is of a couple of types of non-human entities, which are called demons and angels.
Yeah, that's
So-
obviously the most like most popular one beyond like just spirits. 'Cause
Oh, yeah.
You see like there's thousands of movies out there, and I mean, what's going on, guys?
Oh, we're over here getting updates. Sorry.
Gotcha.
We're getting updates for future investigations that we'll talk about at a
Sweet.
later time. But Kaylee, keep going
Yeah,
about your stuff. Sorry. We're
Okay,
just
so
verifying.
I'll just read off like some literal definitions, just quick Googling here. So for first, angels, a spiritual being believed to act as an attendant, an agent, or a messenger of God, conventionally represented in human form with wings and a long robe. And then let me pull up. I have the other one. There we go. So, and then demons. I know growing up, like I always learned demon does this was a demon is a supernatural and often malevolent being prevalent in religions, occultism, literature, fiction. It's all over the place. There are different types of demons in the sense of, I guess there's like the word demon, Daemon, which is like more classical mythology demons that aren't
Okay.
like they're almost kind of like gods, but not like they're not like what we think of in the Bible, where it's like it's the
Yeah.
devil coming to get you kind of thing. It's
Yeah.
just and like in Japan, like we watch anime a lot, and I mean I even took Japanese, so I know a little bit of I learned a little bit of the culture, and you learn that like when they say demon, that just is kind of like another word for spirit for them. Like it's not really like it's not what we think of demons, and so
Okay.
I just wanted to bring that up just because there's, since it's demons and angels are such a prevalent thing in every society on the planet.
Yeah.
Just about. I just want to show some like different kind of examples.
What about the word deity? Does that kind of...
You mean deity?
Yeah,
Deity.
deity. Thank you. I'm terrible with it. Don't you judge me, Ryan.
Deity.
Oh, shush.
Very
Deity.
cute. So
It's
cute.
it's
I thought it
my
was
hick.
dieting.
It's my hick coming out. Yeah, whatever that word is, pronounced the right way.
Deity?
Yeah, deity. What does that kind of correlate with what you're talking about with how demon spelled in this more mythical way?
No, because I see deity more as like a godlike person that you worship. I mean, obviously there's. Did we say it's an occult that can worship a demon? What was our first podcast about? Is it the occult? It's an occult.
Occult is a category of
the
a type.
occult.
Vampires.
Yeah, a cult is like
Where,
the following of people.
The act of people like worshiping something.
Now you could worship something that's in the category of occultism.
But a deity is a god.
Yeah, it's basically
Or
a
a
god
goddess.
like a god thing, and so like
It doesn't have to be
I
good
would
or bad,
say-
right? It could be both. It could be either or.
I don't think so.
No.
I don't know.
I think it'd be good or both.
In my
They would be-
mind,
yeah.
in my personal opinion, with angels and demons, it's like it's almost like they're supercharged spirits.
Yeah.
You know, like they're not just like a human spirit. Like, because I've talked about before how I feel like because like one of my spirit guides is an angel, and then I've witnessed the feeling of a human spirit, and I'm like. They feel very different from each other. Like, this one feels very powerful, but it's not like a god. It's
So a deity is of divine nature, so positive,
Okay.
like
Okay.
Christian.
Is there
Catholic.
a negative? Is
it's
there a
only
negative
positive
type?
because like aren't the deities in Greek mythology and things like
Be
that?
nice
Those
with that,
technically
right?
deities.
I
They
guess.
call them deities. I don't know what they call them besides just gods.
So a deity or deity.
Yeah, you have trouble too.
Is the creator and supreme being in a monotheistic religion such as Christianity.
Mm-hmm.
So like it's supposed to be someone of divine, so like an angel or God or Jesus.
Gotcha.
Which is interesting because like
But in other religions it would be
Two people.
Buddha or
yeah,
Mother Nature. I don't know.
something like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like I wouldn't consider like an angel or a demon like a deity per se, like unless you hold them to that esteem.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Even though they may not have that power, but you're giving them that thought process.
My thinking is, it's like you can make anything a deity.
Gotcha.
That's why they call it an idol.
Yeah. That makes sense.
You know, and so I think it's the human perception of that spirit that makes it deity. But like I know that there's probably there's some type of godlike thing out there that would be a literal deity, but unless we go up there and say, "Hey, are you a deity?"
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to know. You just have to kind of figure out for yourself until you die. So yeah, I don't know.
This world is still limited.
What do
It's
you guys
annoying.
think about stuff?
When it comes to angels, for me specifically, I mean, I guess a lot of people would point at me as more of a traditionalist. I think of them as a non-human entity that was created by what we know as an origin, creation or creator, God, and an energy that we all flow from, because we all have energy, and energy has to come from somewhere. And I believe that angels are like this level of energy that's a step above us, kind of like a leadership role or like a team lead. I'm trying to just break this down in modern day terms, but I do believe that they're. Don't you judge me again, Ryan? Damn it! What was that 3 or 4 times? But
I believe they're in
it's not your turn yet. It's not your
What'd you
turn. No, it's not his turn. Nope, I'm interrupting. It's not. No, go ahead, Ryan.
No, I was just saying I believe the angels are in the outfield.
Oh my word! All right, going back to Schuler. What were you saying?
All right, Schuler. On a more serious note here, not a '90s TV movie, but
Oh my.
that is a good movie though. But
I believe angels are in the outfield.
Isn't Doc Brown in that movie?
Who?
Doc Brown from Back to the Future. He plays as an
Oh,
angel.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's an
I
angel.
was
Yeah.
in it forever.
I'm glad you guys got that reference finally. Okay, but yeah, angels I believe are a form of positive energy. Obviously, like a team leader for us humans. I don't know. I don't have any proof of what their personal agenda is in our world, but I do believe that they interact with us on different levels, whether it's to save us, to help us get some type of benefit in our life that we need, or it's some type of guidance, like you're saying, a spirit guide. So I mean, that's how I see angels. That's how I perceive them. And then as for demons, it's kind of basic math here. It's the complete opposite. It's the people that don't like you at work. The ones that are in that little clique, and you're not in their clique, and
Everybody.
yeah, everybody.
Everybody's a demon.
It's a doppelganger.
Everyone's evil. We're perfect.
But
It's not a
If
doppelganger.
the angel is a good thing,
like,
Oh, my
and you
word.
have this, it's combined. They're doppel. It's
They're
the opposite
merging.
yeah,
Ryan is driving Nate
The
nuts
spiritual
about this
merger.
doppelganger.
it's like the yin and the yang.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what
Doppel
yin
and
yang.
No, okay,
is.
that does make sense. Like that, I
The
like
angel
that.
and the demon. It's
I like
the good
that.
angel, the
Okay.
bad. They're
Okay, and by old story
it's all
tells,
paradox people.
it's also true, by old stories, that demons were once angels. So that is true. They're known as the fallen angels, the bad angels,
Well,
the rebellious.
The cool
true.
angels.
Because
coin.
demons, I thought when we discussed this that demons were never anything. That's what a demon
That's
is.
terrible.
I don't know.
That- wasn't it? What do you mean it wasn't
don't they have to
anything?
have energy?
Like it never
Don't they have
was
energy?
something of
Mhm.
any
They-
form.
Like it
are
wasn't
energy.
a human,
Never.
it wasn't an angel
Yeah.
per se. It was just. I'd be curious to how they came to be then.
Well, that's what we talked
Yeah.
about.
What?
When,
That when we were talking about, we talked about demons in our first session.
We may have covered it a little bit, yeah.
Yeah, because we were saying like
That's right. I just
That
want to
they
get more
were
in
never-
detail with it.
that they were never anything.
huh.
See, me as a traditionalist, what I believe and follow is that they're fallen angels. They're angels that took their free will, and they're like, screw you, God, I'm doing what I want. I don't want to coexist with humans, so blah, 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 I'm gone. Well, they didn't choose to be gone. They got kicked out. But anyways, they're an evil angel in my opinion, and they want bad for anything that's not them. They're greedy. They're selfish. But Nate also has me thinking here, maybe not all demons were once angels, because let's talk about humans that are just sick and nasty, cruel people.
It's still
If-
but it's still energy though.
It's still energy. It's a negative energy, but like you're saying, it's energy nonetheless. But
Yeah,
but can people turn into a demon and turn into an angel, depending on like their energy level, if they're good enough or bad enough? Could they also
don't
become
know.
that type of level of energy after the physical world, or can demons and angels only be a non-human type of energy?
I could foresee, in my mind, I could see a human becoming a demon because you're just becoming more and more negative.
Yeah,
If you take the standpoint that demons aren't only negative.
yeah. Like Ryan's saying, negative energy is just
And
building.
From my standpoint, since I grew up Christian, it's like, for me, it's like you could never be an angel per se because you're not perfect.
Yeah,
Like angels are supposed to be perfect beings,
yeah.
and
That makes sense.
messages from God, blah blah blah, all that jazz, and
You taking these notes down, Ryan?
Yeah.
and another thing for me
I'm
is
not going
like
up north.
another like because like I said,
Oh my God! Have some faith in yourself, man. I'm just kidding. Okay, keep going.
like I
Kayla.
said, I don't know, like 10 minutes ago, 20 minutes ago, when I was talking about like my psychic classes that I take, the psychic development classes, like
yeah,
every class he'll go into like half an hour for, like explaining different things about spirit guides and like angels, and like he mentioned that angels, like you'll have, you know, he was explaining how like your spirit guide can be anything. Like it could be a fairy, it could be a human that's been here
Okay.
before, blah blah blah. It could be an alien, who knows?
just positive energy.
And
though,
he
right?
said, and he explained the difference between like a human spirit and an angel spirit. Like an angel spirit's never walked on this earth. It's never
Okay.
been a human.
Okay.
Like it's never come down to be a human. It's
Yeah.
that's why its spirit is like different
Yeah,
in its essence, because it hasn't come down, it hasn't lived, it hasn't experienced
it's
life
not the
like
flesh.
we have.
Yeah. Huh.
Is what he was trying to get at. Like that's why an angel is different than a spirit.
Yeah. No, I see what you're saying.
It's been a while since I've been to that class.
A spirit and an angel are essentially energy, but they're two different types, in my opinion, two different levels of energy.
Yeah.
And I see what you're saying about how an angel's never been down here, and I believe that too. We could totally run this for a long time about difference with angels and human spirits and demons, but I see where you're going with that. People couldn't become an angel, but I guess that's the whole thing about them becoming saints. You know, I guess if your energy is so positive, so strong, you can become a saint, and that's like a level under
But what
an
if they
angel.
were reincarnated into an angel?
I don't think
That is
I don't
a
know if
theory
that's
I've never
thing,
thought of.
But
I've never thought
I don't
of that.
think the Pope can do that.
well, because it's like the thing is, an angel's never been more than anything that other than an angel.
Hey, if the Vatican comes after you, I don't know you.
I'm only thinking it because what if God decided that I want to bring this person back as
Make
someone
an
else, but I want them to be like
He's choosing what he wants them to be.
they've not fulfilled what I planned. I don't know.
And whether
Like,
or not if it's optional or not, like if you want this or you want that, you have to do this or that. I don't know. There's no evidence. We won't know until we pass away.
It's hard.
I mean,
That's like bribing.
Like
I see what you're saying.
The same teacher was like, "Don't."
That's
put,
just the theory.
Don't put psychic energy in a box. Like, don't tell it has to be a certain thing.
Yeah.
Because it could be anything. Like, it's very possible that someone could become an angel or whatever. But I personally don't feel like it could. But I'm not going to say it's not because I don't have any evidence to say that it couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's really interesting. It is such a broad, range of things that we could go with demons and angels and stuff. But, well, what about you personally, Ryan? How do you feel about the angel and the demon part? And as a skeptic, I want to know. As an atheist, I want to know.
He doesn't believe in anything.
So, with demons and angels, they just can't exist. Period.
I mean, they probably could. I mean, I'm not gonna
Okay.
say they can't.
But
that's
you need like the
different,
facts
though.
before.
If they could.
Atheist, that does not have, that's religion. That's you don't have any association with any religion.
Mm-hmm.
But that doesn't include.
Doesn't the angels come from a religion though?
No, I'm saying demon. You could still believe in demons, though.
But not biblically, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So he could believe that angels and
Because
demons are real,
demons
but they
come
don't
from different.
Bible.
Because looking at the word demon,
Mm-hmm.
that was a Gothic word.
Yeah.
That was
It's in like
a
all
Greek
cultures,
word.
and it means different things.
Yeah. So
Good point,
you have. It's all. I don't think just because I don't think it should be connected only to.
I was just saying he's a skeptic,
certain
which means he doesn't believe in supposedly anything of this because he needs the scientific facts and the evidence per se.
Now let me rephrase my question. If you did have proof of something that you saw that looked like a demon, or you had an experience where something so good happened, it had to be like an angel, because why would somebody help you? Why would they give you like 10 grand or something? And
It's just called luck.
But what's to say?
Is that what you call it?
But I
That's
don't.
what it is. I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, it's me. This is just me.
No, go for it, bro.
I don't see the like if I get a job.
Mm-hmm.
I did it myself. I'm the one who applied to it. I'm the one who did the resume. I did the interview.
Yeah.
So I really can't say if I prayed, like, oh, can you please help me? And then all of a sudden they get the job. They're going to say, oh, I got this because of somebody higher up helped me get it. I
Makes
don't
sense.
believe that because I'm the one that's doing it myself. I'm the one that has, I'm my own person.
Yeah.
I'm the one that's doing it. Type of deal. I don't
Putting in the
necessarily
effort.
going to. And if you want to believe that, that's totally fine with you. I'm not saying it gets my thing. I don't see that because you're basically taking away from you and putting it on somebody else. So it's basically saying, like, if you do something bad, you're not blaming yourself. You're blaming the person who told you to do it, or or whatever, who's controlling you, or you know what I mean. Like, I don't see
prayer doesn't necessarily because I have a coworker at work that
there's some sass. There's some sass on this podcast.
Stairs are coming out.
It happened at an awkward time. Anyway.
Okay.
Let's
They
get
don't consider prayer religious. Like, it's not something, because the word religion was like a new thing. Like, that's
Who
not.
are they praying to though?
They're not.
They're not praying
It's
to
like
anybody?
giving. It's like having a positive outlook on, like, giving out good and positive energy towards someone.
Okay.
Versus negative, which would be considered in a Christian religion bad. Like, you're giving bad negative energy, which would be could be considered demonic or whatever. But, like, I don't think that it should be tied to just religion only.
No.
Because you can still say, I'm going to pray for you, but I don't think that prayer is just Christian. It's also, I mean, you pray as a Buddhist,
It's
you
still
pray
religion,
as a
though.
Jewish person.
Which is still religion, though.
But I don't
You're
It's a
reading
different type of
Christianity. I'm not
religion.
reading Christianity. I'm saying it's religion.
So
I just brought in.
she's Christian, my coworker, but she doesn't consider herself a religion. She doesn't like that word because of how much of a negative impact it's had on. Because you have people who, like, for instance, when I went to Christian church, I was told I'm going to hell, that everyone hates me.
Why?
That's not how it should be, because if you're going to teach something about someone who's loving, why are you teaching then turning it around and saying something the opposite of that? So she looks at it as, I believe in God, but I believe because this is who I am. I don't want to attach a name to it.
Mm-hmm. My husband's in that same boat. It's kind of more on the agnostic side.
That's
kind
how
of.
that's
like he
what
thinks
I
that,
am.
Like he feels like there is like there has to
I
have
just
be
don't
something,
know what it is.
but he feels like the church version of it has been distorted.
Yes.
You know, it's like he wants the opportunity to learn of this thing, which I get. Yeah.
Let it come to you naturally over time. And what I think your definition of prayer is without religion is like you giving a positive energy to a person to hope in,
like
pray
I'm giving you
that
good vibes.
he'll get a better outcome because of your positive praying to him. Is that what you mean?
Almost like a mantra.
Yeah, I don't pray.
Yeah, but I'm saying theoretically.
But I think in my head, like
You're thinking of good energy,
yes,
good thoughts.
like
It's just good conscience.
I hope
That's
this
all.
help. I
that
hope
will
this
give him a
person
better outcome.
gets this, or I hope this person feels
Yeah,
better.
It's just the same thing. Ooh, sure. Hope you get this job.
That's good positive
There you go.
energy.
Yeah.
Well, but I feel like a lot of people are like,
I'll be
I
thinking
have.
of you.
But a lot of people, I think it's like a forced thing. Like they
Ah.
have to say, "I'm going to pray for you,"
I
and
hate
I don't
saying
think
it.
that's necessary because it's almost fake.
For this
Like,
message,
I
or
know.
you're going to
say
hell.
like I usually say like I'll be thinking of you.
yeah, because
I
it's
will be.
basically the same thing. Like you're.
How could you? You're so
Ryan,
mean.
let me rephrase my question. If you saw an entity and it was an angel or demon, what do you expect it to look like or react like? If you saw that, and let's not say biblically, let's just say a creature or an entity that you would categorize as a demon or angel, what would it have to look like or do for you to be like, that's possibly an angel or demon?
I would say, are you angel or demon?
How would it react? Like, what would it have to do?
What if it lied to you?
What if it
I mean, I
scratched
don't
you?
know. What do you mean if it scratched me?
Yeah, if it scratched you like across the chest and you had like really big scratch marks on it.
It's probably an angel.
Oh my god. All right, thank you, Ryan, for your input. Nate,
I don't. I can't say. I don't know. I don't.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't seen an angel. I don't know what an angel looks like. I'm
Yeah.
sure it can look different ways than as a demon. Like,
Could be
I
bad.
don't think you know. I just think people who say this is like they're going to categorize it as an angel for something good that happens, or they think, oh no, that's an angel. Something
Yeah.
bad happens, or they see something bad, it's like, oh, that's a demon. You know what I mean? I think there's.
I do know what you mean.
It's just,
Yeah.
it's just categorized.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I understand that theory. That's a really good.
Well,
way of
because
looking at it.
there's like in the Buddhist religion, there's someone who's a divine power that is considered an angel, but they don't call it that. I don't know what they call it, but it's still it's still something positive. It's not.
I think it's more for if you're going to be good. Like I think like if you're raised like in a religious family or like back like in the 40s or 30s or whatever.
Yeah.
If you're good, you're going to become an angel. If you're bad with stuff, you're becoming a demon. I think it's categorized as that.
It just helps people be
It
able to
helps
live
people
in a
like, you become an
mindset.
angel, you need to do this.
Yeah.
If you're not, you're going to become this.
I see what you're saying. It's like a black and white world.
Well, I just think of because you have these religions who've been around, and I hate that word because it's like
I know.
you have these yes religions that have been around for thousands and thousands of years, older than Christianity, but they've all come to one thing, one positive thing. Not well, I can't say all, but
Yeah, not all.
most. You know,
2%,
The popular ones.
yeah, like just because
like the
well,
spaghetti monster.
Oh my god.
like the Jewish religion, they believe. I mean, it's hard because it's been completely characterized into something bad for certain churches. Not all, but it's like created for a reason.
Well, and all humans are broken and blah blah blah. So
Yeah.
like, obviously humans are going to be.
But it's the same thing with like Buddhist religion. But what can you do to fix that? Like,
Yeah.
how do you?
Like Buddhist religion is to like get yourself to
What
get to
religion?
that higher plane.
Yeah.
And so like you keep getting reincarnated until you get to that.
Yeah, but then there's some where it's
Phase.
like if you make one mistake, it's like, oh,
It's all over.
yeah, like you're shunned and you're going to hell and we hate you, and it's like that can completely.
He's playing with Baxter, everyone.
All right, yeah. For
He's
the
totally
for the
goofing
record, Ryan is playing with Baxter the Paradog. But you know what? I want to ask you now, Nate, before we jump to our last and final category. What do you think about angels and demons? Just tell me what you think.
Go.
I thought I did.
Thank you.
In a short summary.
I
Short summary.
don't necessarily believe in angels as that word.
Mm-hmm.
I like Kaylee said,
like in the Christian sense of the word,
Yeah.
like the definition that I read.
yeah, but like I believe that people have, spirit guides, which is essentially can be the same thing. Like you have someone who's there to kind of essentially guide you, like in the right direction, hopefully.
Like the doppelgangers.
Doppelganger.
Now, demons, I've never had any experience with that, but I do believe they exist.
Hopefully soon.
Let's
I'm
not
just
hope
kidding.
for that.
And then we'll do a really new updated podcast. Well, guys, demons are
We're now all
real.
She lives on the
possessed.
ceiling.
Demons came home with us, so we don't recommend coming here.
I know, right? But you believe them to be like a negative entity for the most part.
Yes.
It doesn't have to be a biblical demon like a big giant creature with horns. It's just a negative.
No, because
energy
if you look at
does.
the definition, a demon comes from different backgrounds.
Okay.
It's not just Christian or religious. It could be like folklore,
Yeah.
things that you look back on, stories that you read about where, like
Yeah.
a doppelganger, that's lore. That's a folklore.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
something that back in whatever time period that, that story got passed down because of something that happened.
Yeah, I'm trying to find, more descriptions. Like, for example, like the Japanese version of like what a demon means to them, because for them, like it's kind of pooled into like just spirit. Like it's not like it's not negative energy. Maybe it's a chaotic energy.
That's,
like,
chaos.
It's more chaotic. Like they're not here to like provide order. They're here to provide chaos.
Yeah.
But like chaos isn't necessarily always bad for them in that case.
Okay. That's what you're saying.
It's just the type of energy they emit.
Positive
Make sense?
chaos could be like a natural wildfire, a natural wildfire. Because I'm taking it that you need certain trees to die that are old, and I mean there's science I can go into. There's like beetles that can burrow into certain trees and kill them, and the wildfires that happen naturally is like the Earth's way of cleaning itself.
Because it goes back to like what was
Just like hurricanes.
Exactly.
That's what Ryan was referring to, like the yin and
natural
yang. It's just
phenomenon.
like you have to
Yeah.
have a balance of like both types of different types of energy.
Yes.
Like you can't just have all one thing.
That's how I'm
because that's
seeing it.
circle of life, baby.
Wow,
You
pro
know?
life over there, Kaylee. Damn.
Just saying, you can't have one without
Chaos
the
or
other.
no chaos. And, I don't know.
I just feel like you couldn't have life without one or the other.
Yeah. I wish we could. I don't like negativity. Even if it's supposed to happen. You got something, Ryan?
Black-eyed children.
Okay. Well, here we go. Okay, so let's do our
What if
last...
we had another topic?
Let's-
Oh man.
An hour.
Yeah, well, we've actually gone over an hour, and we're going to try to make this...
Part 3.
Well, yeah, you guys want to do a part 3?
Yeah, it's fine. Let's do
No.
part 3.
No, we're going to finish this now. We got one more category. That's all we got, Ryan. Come on. All right, so Ryan's got our last category for the evening, and we're going to extend this podcast a little bit. So it is what, Ryan? Black-eyed children?
Black-eyed children, which I have never heard of until you mentioned it. 'Cause I had no idea. So it's basically a sort of like to me, I've read it, it's more like an urban legend
Okay.
where it's kids who are supposedly paranormal creatures that resemble children
Yeah.
between, probably 6 and 16 who have like black eyes, who are pale, and they're more seen at like abandoned buildings or, hitchhiking or panhandling type of deal.
Okay.
And looking over, it looks like it's more recent. It's more like in the 90s is when it first started, when the term first came out.
Gotcha.
Type of deal. So that's why I'm thinking it's more of an urban legend, because there's really nothing going back prior to that.
Kind of like Slender Man, then.
Correct. Kind of like Slender Man. There's really no evidence about it.
Okay.
Type of deal, which I mean I could find, but most people believe that they could be like extraterrestrials or vampires or ghosts.
That's what I've heard too.
So to me, that sounds like they're just branching it out.
Okay.
Farther, where they're saying it could be this, or this. That's not for sure. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think it's more like a folklore or urban legend, or kind of like a new kind of a Slender Man.
Okay.
Type of
Yeah.
deal where
Slender Man before
it's
Slender
just
Man.
created to scare or make like a new folklore type of deal.
Okay, I gotcha. Kaylee, what about you with that definition? What's your belief on black-eyed children, roughly, or even before that definition?
I don't know. Like Ryan, I really don't have much information on. Like I've read a story and I've seen maybe like a haunting show where like someone recounted themselves seeing one. So I really don't have a lot of information on the subject or opinions. My thought is, from the little I've seen, that it almost seems like some kind of evil entity has come, and it's like a malevolent force that it just wants to cause problems.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's like a physical thing where like it possesses a child. I don't think it's that. Maybe for me it feels like some kind of demon or something that that can manifest itself as a child looking thing, because they know that like people have a soft spot for children for the most part.
Oh yeah.
Some people don't. It's okay.
It's true.
We love you anyway.
Do we?
Hey, sometimes I don't like kids either, so whatever. Yeah. So, it's just like they know that we're weaker around children, so like we're more willing to like help out a child, because a child shouldn't be like walking around on its own like at middle of night.
Yeah.
Like a 5-year-old.
Yeah.
Because that's obviously dangerous and for that child, and so like humans intentionally want to go, instinctively want to go and help that child. Excluding all the serial killers out there and the psychos.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Obviously, there's always going to be contradiction to what I say, but yeah. And so I don't know. That's kind of how I take black-eyed children. I
gotcha. Yeah, I'm kind of falling in the same boat with you guys. I mean, I've read a little bit more probably than you guys, because I'm weird because I listen into paranormal stuff more. I mean, I'm skeptical about it because I've never experienced them. But from stories I've listened to, stories I've read, black-eyed children have, been talked about as aliens, extraterrestrials, which I guess I get because the black eyes is kind of weird. But they've also been talked about as a demonic or very negative entity. It doesn't have to be a demon. It can be just a really nasty spirit that has the ability to change itself into a child, or maybe the child was mean when it was alive and it's just out to do whatever. But again, I've never had an experience with black-eyed children or anything, but I have more of a grasp on it being a evil entity. Like I said, I can't say it's a demon, but whatever it is, its intentions is to benefit itself. And as Kaylee said, it's showing itself as a child, whether it's an adult or it's a non-human. It's representing itself as a child to get people lured in, and more often than not, I have read stories and listened to other podcasts with people that are either a parent, soon to be a parent, or, a teenager that has a little brother or sister. So obviously they have a connection to a younger human. And these are the people that are being attacked. So they're asking permission to be led into their home. The black-eyed children ask permission to be led into their car. And for whatever reason, most people that I've read about say no to these kids, which is good, because according to...
Why wouldn't you? Like, I don't know. I just, like, if I saw a black-eyed child, I'd be like, get away from me, motherfucker. Sorry. Edit that out.
And plus, nowadays, the kids can get black contacts.
That's a good point. Nowadays, they can get black contacts.
Yeah. Black child because they're wearing,
I'm just saying, if you want help from me,
it could be a prank nowadays, for sure. But yeah. But like Kaylee's saying, even if you are, kind of close to a child or some younger person, if you see their eyes are pitch black, the first thing you're going to think is like, okay, well, that's not normal. I'm not going to take the chance of something going on. Even if you're not spiritual or religious, you see a person with black eyes, what do you think? It's not natural. And, most stories that I've heard and read, they don't let them in, which is good, because the outcomes are probably not all that positive. But I believe them to be more so a spirit of some sort, not an alien or anything. But I don't know. There's just a lot to black-eyed children that we could go into tunnels about and just loop around it because they're weird. There's a lot to them, for sure. I think that's pretty much all I got. What about you, Nate? What do you think when you hear about black-eyed children?
I've never heard of that term before.
So you're like with Ryan on this? Okay.
Yeah, I don't really have...
It's like the same thing as the Phantom Black Dog or...
Oh, like hellhounds or something like that?
Which is what we talked about before.
Yeah, hellhounds. Yeah.
You got a dog that's just on rabies or something.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's one of those categories that you don't hear of unless you're someone who actively researches this stuff, because that's how I found it, is because I was looking at stories and that happened to pop up, because it's not something you hear about all the time.
Yeah, it's not. It's not an everyday thing. It's not like seeing the shadow person that looks like a cowboy silhouette or sleep paralysis or something fun like that.
Which makes me wonder if it's even a thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm skeptic of these things.
Jumping on the Ryan boat over there.
I am. Hey Ryan, what's up? Have a party on your boat.
With spirits.
No spirits.
I'm bringing them everywhere, no matter how skeptical we get. But Nate, with the definitions that we've given you with black-eyed children, what do you believe there to be possible of these things? Like, if they do exist, what would you say they are? Good, bad, or anything?
I can't say.
Can't say comfortably?
No.
Not applicable.
Because I don't...
Yeah.
I've not heard much about that before. I've never really...
Fair enough.
Yeah, it's...
Yeah.
All I know is what you're supposed to do when one comes to your door.
Yeah. Tell them to leave. You're not welcome.
Don't open your door kind of thing.
Offer them
candy. If you want Nate to be a believer, you may go to his work, which is at...
with black contacts.
Oh man!
I just asked for Nate.
Good luck getting in the office.
Honestly,
I thought you said that it's open to everybody. Your work is
not black-eyed children.
Not my office.
Yeah, not black-eyed children.
Yeah,
without an ID.
They can still go down.
We discriminate against scary people.
Yeah. If you're scary, you're not welcome.
We have bulletproof glass.
Oh dang!
Yeah, but he could, the whatever can still go down there.
He can just go through the glass. It doesn't care.
Door, yeah.
It's a unknown entity that's invisible.
It's a salt door.
It's a salt door. But thinking a real quick thing about black-eyed children, it kind of reminds me of Ryan's description with the doppelganger. It's like these. It's obviously, it doesn't look like you, but its intentions are to hurt you and to use your energy or to affect you in a way that's bad. They have ill intent, according to the stories, because they're supposedly both lords, but I don't know. They just kind of go to 1 and 1, 2 and 2 together to me. Obviously, they're different, but I don't know. The nature of them just kind of made me think a little bit. But regardless, black-eyed children, there's a lot out there. I'm sure there's a lot of people that would like to talk about that more. And, of course, for all you listeners out there, if any of these topics, you've heard us talk about, bring it up in the comments and let us know so we can talk about this more. Talking about Drew?
Yeah, we should ask him about that.
Yeah, Drew might have some stories about black-eyed children.
Yeah,
Shout out to Ghost Train Podcast again. So I think we pretty much covered all the categories pretty well. I know black-eyed children was a little bit shorter, but like you said, it only started in the 90s. It's kind of like a Slenderman thing. It's just not a solid thing. It hasn't been happening since the 1800s or 1500s. I don't know. It's weird and creepy. We could probably do a podcast a little more on it if we printed out 1,000 pages if you guys really cared enough. But
no thanks.
I don't know. Or we get somebody on the podcast and they could bring the information to us. And then that's a whole nother game because what we like to talk about is general discussions about the paranormal. It's not about one thing. It's not all facts. Strictly opinions. But what you got? You guys got anything else about non-human entities or any other different types of spiritual apparitions that we haven't covered yet?
Nope.
No? pretty much got it all done.
Thank you for listening.
We're not done yet, Ryan. Hang on. Ryan always tries to get off the
We
stage.
have to say goodbye, Ryan.
We have to do it properly. You know this.
Chunky's on TV.
Oh my god. Well, you guys, if you have any suggestions, comments, topics, concerns, to drop those in the comments or send us a message. And if there are any type of apparitions that we did not cover that we should have or that we may not know of, please let us know about that. And, we could possibly in the future get some other ideas on our podcast to talk about. So we could take those on for sure. But, as always, you can check us out on Google. Type in P.I.O.T. Paranormal. You'll find our website, our Instagram, Facebook, and, of course, our podcast. So be sure to follow us and all that good stuff because we love having new followers come on board to keep in touch with us. And you can check out our new adventures. What you got,
can
Nate?
also call Schuler 24/7.
You can.
At 317.
Yep.
Something, something, something.
Yep.
Something, 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 something.
I don't actually have numbers. I have alphabeticals and I have numbers.
Alphabetical.
Yeah, alphabeticals. I know characters, whatever.
I'm lost.
I am too. I'm just going off with what Nate's doing, which is a bunch of random mumbo jumbo. Anyways, we've been doing this podcast for too long, so we're going to try to finish it now.
I was trying to be funny, but it fell.
Sorry, Nate. We will be doing a podcast next week, so you can try again if you want.
Yeah, please try.
Anyways, guys, thank you for listening, and be sure to stay tuned in for our next podcast. And, check us out on our social media outlets to keep in touch with us. And if you'd like to get on the podcast as a guest, of course, we're always open and welcoming to new people to come on board and all that good stuff. So until next time, we hope you guys enjoy the podcast. Look forward to talking with you next time. And as always, stay frosty.